Hello and welcome to Crochet My Way. Today we're going to make the Tamara Square. It's a beautiful square designed by Vanessa Smith from Hooked on Sunshine. It can be used standalone, it can be used with other Hooked on Sunshine Granny Square designs. Many of those were released through the Hooked on Granny's Crochet Along. Some of them are free and featured here on my channel, some of them are paid. This Tamara Square has been used in the Gussy Up Your Memaw pattern by Vanessa, which is a bag pattern, and the central motif of that bag pattern is this Tamara Square. So I will be using a 3mm hook and 4-ply cotton to make this design, and let's get started. So before we begin our Tamara Square, the first thing we need to do is put a slip knot on the hook like that, and then make chain 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now you slip stitch into the first chain, and that will form a little ring for us to work into. So we'll be working into the center of that little ring there. You can also use a magic ring if you're so inclined. Right, so for round 1 now we need to make 2 chains, 1 and 2, and then 15 half double crochet into the center of that ring. So half double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. So that's my first one. I need 14 more now. You're going to have a total of 16 elements. So 15 half double crochet plus the chain 2 makes 16. So let's all get that done, and then I'll come back and we'll join up at the end. Let me just show you so far. So I've got a chain 2 on the end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half double crochet so far. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've finished my extra 15 half double crochet plus my chain 2 for 16. Now when you get to here, you need to find the top of your chain 2 so you can join. So here's the chain 1 right there, and there's the second chain, the chain 2. So all you've got to do is go into the top of that chain 2, just grab that top loop of it, yarn over, pull through and slip stitch join. And you're ready to start round 2. Now round 2 continues in the same color, so if you're following the pattern, do not end off, and we'll reconvene in a second for round 2. So round 2 begins with a starting puff stitch. Now what does that mean? That means that we have to get some height. So we pull up the loop that's already in the stitch, and you just use that extended loop to begin, or if you've read the stitch tutorial, it also offers you the chance to do a chain 2 to begin. So if you've changed your color, you can join and make a chain 2. So the puff stitch is also in green font, which means it's only a 7 loop puff, not an usual 9 loop puff. So what does that mean? We've got our first loop stretched up, so that's 1 loop. Now we yarn over and we go back into where we joined and pull up a loop. Pull it up to the same height, that gives us 3 loops. Do it again. Now we have 5, and 1 more time, and that gives us now 7 loops on the hook. You can count them if you like. Now to finish the puff stitch, we do a yarn over and pull through all of the loops on the hook, and the final step is to make 1 closing chain on top of it. So that's your first 7 loop puff stitch completed. Now the next instruction says 1 puff stitch in each of the next 15 stitches. So let's go again. Now we're going to do a proper puff. Yarn over. Go into the next stitch, the top loops of the half double. Pull up a loop once, up to the height that you need once. Do it again twice, and 1 more makes 3. 7 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through all, and a closing chain. And that's what we're going to do all the way around in every single stitch. 1 more, yarn over, into the next stitch, pull up a loop once, twice, and 3 times, yarn over, pull through all, and closing chain. Very simple. 1, 2, and 3, pull through all, closing chain. So keep going all the way around. You will end up with 16 puff stitches, including the very first one. I'll rejoin you here and show you how to fasten off here on a starting puff. I'll be back in a moment. Here I am, I've got 16 puff stitches all the way around, and I need you to be careful and make sure you've counted, because this here is not a stitch. That is your slip stitch when you joined up, so don't get tricked by that. Don't add a 17th puff stitch. Now I've made my final closing chain there. What you can see here is the very long extended loop that we started with for the starting puff. That's not where you want to join, because that will just split your stitch wide open. We want to join in the top of this closing chain that we made after we did the puffs, the loops, all right, after we did that whole pull through. Because if you join to that starting loop, it's going to look unpleasant. So there we go, that's the second round completed. I've joined to the top of my puff stitch. Now you just need to fasten off and secure your ends. Pattern changes colour, and so will I, and I'll come back for round 3. Now round 3 begins between any 2 puff stitches. So you can join your yarn. I've just used a knot this time. I've got a number of ways that I start, but I'll teach you this one first. So you join with a knot and you pull up a loop, and you need to make a chain 2 to begin. So chain 1 and chain 2. Right? Now we're going to make cluster stitches in this round. Now cluster stitches are just groups of incomplete stitch work closed off at the same time. So what we're going to do now is we actually need a 3 double crochet cluster here, but we're going to start with a chain 2 for height, and now we're going to make a 2 double crochet cluster. So that's 2 double crochet that are incomplete, and we'll close them together. So yarn over into the gap, pull up a loop, start the first part of the double crochet, which is yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. Start another one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook, oops, and stop. Don't go too far, I nearly did. Now I have 3 loops on my hook, and you can see 2 incomplete double crochet, and on the front of it a chain 2. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now that is your first starting 3 double crochet cluster. So this whole element represents a 3 double crochet cluster, even though we started with a chain 2 and a 2 double crochet cluster. Alright, now we're going to chain 2, and we're going to put a full 3 double crochet cluster into the same space. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 once, 3 times we have to do this, pull up a loop, pull through 2 twice, again 3 times, and that is our first full 3 double crochet cluster. And you'll notice this time we have 4 loops on the hook, okay, because we have made 3 full elements. That is our starting loop. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on the hook, and that is your 3 double crochet cluster completed. Okay, next up we're going to start the repeat that's going to go all the way around. It starts with the bold square brackets, and it says to make 1 double crochet between the next 2 puffs. Here they are here, 1 double crochet, just a plain double crochet. Then in the parentheses we have a little mini repeat to make. It says 3 double crochet cluster, chain 2, 3 double crochet cluster between the next 2 puffs. So a full 3 double crochet cluster, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2 once, again twice, and 1 more 3 times. Yarn over, pull through all, then the chain 2, and then another 3 double crochet cluster, once, twice, and 3 times. Yarn over, pull through all, and you can clearly see the 3 components in that cluster. There are 3 incomplete double crochet there. So that's the whole repeat, starting with the double crochet in this gap, and then the cluster, chain 2 cluster in the next one. That's what we're going to do all the way around 7 times. So we've done 1. I'll do 1 more really quickly. It starts with a double crochet in the next gap, and then a 3 double crochet cluster in the next gap after that, with a chain 2 and another 3 double crochet cluster in that same space. That's twice now. So you need to do 5 more. We're going to do a total of 8 shells. We've got 1 that's the starting one, plus the 2 I've just made. You need to make 8 more. And with 16 spaces, that's exactly what you should get. When we come back around, I'll join you here because we have one final little thing to do there. I've done all my repeats, so now I did the initial one plus 7 more, so I have a total of 8 repeats. Now the last thing we need to do, it's outside the square bracket because we have 1 gap left. We need to put 1 final double crochet in there, like that. And then it says to join to the beginning of the 3 double crochet cluster with a slip stitch. Now, because this was a starting cluster when we started with the chain 2, remember, don't join to the chain 2. So because if you do that, it's going to pull the stitch open and it's not going to look like a cluster. So don't go in there. Go into the top of your 2 double crochet cluster to join. So use those top loops from the 2 double crochet cluster so that your stitch looks like the rest of them. Oops, beg your pardon, stop dropping it. See, it just holds it a bit more closed, and it's easier to look for it to look identical to the other one. So we don't want it to look too different. It's going to look a little bit different because of the chain 2, but not too much. So that's my little tip for you there. Join to the top of the 2 double crochet cluster component of that starting 3 double crochet cluster. All right, fasten off and secure your ends if you're following the pattern, and we'll come back for round 4. Round 4, we're going to make some front post stitches in this round. Now these are pretty easy once you know the principle. So for those who've never done one, we're going to work around the post of the double crochet we made here. The post is this part, the vertical part of the stitch. And working around the post, you can do it from the front, and then it's called the front post by going down from the top and up from the back. Or you can come up from the back and down from the top, and then it's called the back post stitch. In this round, we're going to make front post half double crochet, and you can join around any double crochet with a standing front post half double. So there's that standing component that I need to explain. So to make a standing stitch, it's a stitch that's made already up here, and we do it with a slip knot on the hook. Put a slip knot, then we need a yarn over, and you just put your gentle pressure on this to avoid it spinning. If you pull it, it spins. So you just hold the knot ever so gently, wrap the yarn around, go down from the top and up from the back of that double crochet we just made in the previous round. Yarn over, pull the yarn through. I like to hold the little, I've pushed it to the back, but I'll bring it to the front so you can see. I like to hold the little tail to keep it from spinning, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook for your standing half double crochet front post. Okay, so that's that trick. Next up, we're going to make the full repeat 8 times, which is 3 puff stitches into the next chain 2 space, and then a front post half double crochet around the next double crochet. Now the chain 2 space was between the clusters, if you remember. It's the only place there are chain 2s between the clusters. And again, the puffs are in green font, so again we're making 7 loop puff stitches. So let's go. Yarn over into the chain 2 space, pull up a loop once, twice and 3 times, yarn over, pull through all the loops, and a closing chain. Those closing chains are very important, don't miss them. Sorry, I had to get some yarn. We're going to do 3 of those in that chain 2 space. So again, yarn over, pull up a loop once, twice and 3 times, pull through all, closing chain, and one more, once, twice and 3 times, pull through all, closing chain. That's the first part of the full repeat. And now again, yarn over, come down from the front, up from the back of that double crochet, pull the yarn through and make a half double crochet. So the full repeat starts with these 3 puff stitches in the chain 2 and ends with the front post half double crochet around the double crochet. So we need to do this 7 more times coming around. All right. And also, because we've already started with one of these, we can omit the last front post half double. You put your last 3 puffs here, and then that's already done for us. I'll come back and join up there with you in a minute, but first let's just do one more repeat. So chain 2 space, 3 puff stitches, yarn over, pull up a loop once, twice and 3 times, pull through all, closing chain. Again, once, twice and 3 times, pull through all, closing chain. One more, 1, 2 and 3, pull through all, closing chain, yarn over, down from the top around the double crochet, up from the back, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. So now we've done 2 full sets, ignoring that first stitch. We've made 2 full sets of the repeat. Got 6 more to do. Get yourselves all the way around here, and I'll join you here with the last 3 puffs, and we'll join up together. I better make it so you can see it properly. There you go. All done. We've got 8 shells, 8 sets of 3 puff stitches, and you should have 8 front post half double crochet. And the way to know you've done them all is a quick trick. If you turn over your work, you need to be able to see 8 of these little horizontal bars going around. So make sure you've done them all. It's sometimes hard to tell, especially if you're using all the same colour. It's hard to see whether you've actually done them. It's easy for me because I've got different colours here. But that's it, that's all you have to do. And then when you get to the end, we just have to now join to the top of our starting stitch, the standing front post double. So you go under the top 2 loops of that knot and just join with a slip stitch, and you're done. Now the pattern continues in this colour, so if you are to do not cut your yarn, just join and sit tight, and I'll come back shortly for round 5. For round 5, those of you who are continuing your yarn colour, you will be joined in one of these front post half doubles where you finished, and I just need you to slip stitch across to the gap between the first 2 puff stitches. You need to get into there, so just a couple of slip stitches across and you'll be set up. Then you need to make a chain 2, and that chain 2 represents your first double crochet. Now I'm going to use a standing double crochet because I've changed colour and I find it easier. If you've changed colour also, you can also just tie a knot and make a chain 2. All of that will represent your first double crochet. Here's my standing double crochet. Slip knot on my hook, yarn over into that first gap between the first 2 puffs, yarn over, pull through 2 twice, and I have a standing double crochet. Now we all need to do another 3 double crochet into that same space. So some of us will have a chain 2 and 3 double crochet, and some of us will have 4 full double crochet like me. Next thing we need to do is to put another 4 double crochet in the second gap between the puffs. Just 4 straight garden variety double crochet. 3 and 4. Just like that. Right, now we're going to start the full repeat that goes all the way around. It begins at the bold square brackets with 1 front post half double crochet around the next front post half double crochet. So just another one, just like we did before. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. So now we have a front post half double around a front post half double. Then we do this, what we just did here, the 4 double crochet between the next 2 puffs immediately. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and it says twice, so 4 double crochet again between the next 2 puffs. 2, 3, snagged, and 4. Okay, and that's the whole repeat, starting with the front post half double and then putting 4 double crochet in between the first 2 puffs and 4 double crochet in between the second and third puff. Easy peasy all the way around 7 times. So that's once. You need to do another 6. When we come back around, you'll be finished with your 4 double crochet here, and then we still need to do the final front post half double crochet afterwards. Now the pattern asks you to fasten off with a needle join, so I'm going to join you here and we'll talk about that. Now that we've finished all of the repeats, as I said, the last thing to do is that final front post half double crochet around the front post half double crochet. And now we are required to make a needle join. Now right here on my YouTube channel, if you go to the tutorials playlist, I have a full video on how to do a needle join. But right now I'm going to do a very abbreviated version for you so you can at least keep going if you don't want to interrupt. So you're just going to have to follow me very quickly. So a needle join creates a false set of top loops around one of the stitches, the first stitch here, and it's done for aesthetic purposes for the next round. Sorry, my needle's stuck to my scissors. Now the reason we do it is because probably the next round, and I'm going to check as I'm talking, is going to be probably some kind of post stitch, usually back post stitches, because then you get a really clean line when these top loops bend forward if we're working from behind. So how do we make a needle join? It's a scary thing to do the first time you do it, but here, I have not joined up. Pay attention to that. Don't close off, don't join. Take the yarn, give yourself a good long tail, cut it. Take a deep breath. It's not the end of the world, relax. Now, pull the yarn out, pull it out, pull it out, pull it out, pull it out. Nothing's going to unravel because you've pulled the loop out. It can't unravel. Next thing, grab your needle, fray the edge. It makes it easier to fold over and thread into the eye if you've got a small needle like mine. And of course it didn't work because I'm too busy talking to pay attention. There we go. Somewhere there. Got it, finally. Now, whether you've got a chain 2 or a standing stitch does not matter. We're going to skip past that to the second double crochet. You take your needle, you put your needle under the top 2 loops only of that second double crochet, ignoring whatever you've got at the beginning, whether it's the standing or the chain. I just pull it out of the way a little bit. Go under, pull your yarn through. Come back to this front post half double, stab down through the middle of those top loops. Try and pick up 2 if you can, which I'm struggling to do, but I've done it now. Straight through the top. I like to pick up the 2 loops. You can just pick up one, doesn't matter. Pull the needle through, and now you can see new top loops forming on top of my first stitch. Doesn't matter if you pull it tight, you can actually pull it back out again because it's not secured to anything yet. So there we are. There are my fake top loops. I then like to come back and I go stab down through that first stitch. I'm going to suggest to you not to work these tails away just yet because we are doing back post stitches. If you work your tails away now and you cross over the stitches, it's going to be very hard for us to make back post stitches when these are all connected because we're going to be coming up and splitting them apart to make our next set of stitches. Actually, we're coming up from the back. So resist the urge to work away your tails of this round immediately. If you watch my full video, you'll then know that I also make a square knot. And again, I have not crossed over. Sorry, I'm fumbling a little bit because I can't seem to make my hands work today. So I will work these tails away a bit later. Like I said, I have a full video on the needle join right here on the channel in a separate folder for tutorials. Okay, that's the needle join. Now, without knowing where that join is, I guarantee you, you cannot tell where it is. Don't worry about the purple stuff, that's irrelevant. Look for the green stuff. And there it is right there. Alright, so that's the whole point of it. It's basically an invisible join and it's called a needle join. Alright, moving on to round 6. We're moving on to round 6 now, and I do have a confession to make. I took a day off and I wrestled with the garden. The garden won. So I've had to redo my nails, so I apologise for that. Now, round 6, we need to join around any front post half double crochet with a standing front post single crochet. So slip knot on your hook, down and around that front post half double, and make sure you pick up that extra loop there, get under it, like that. Yarn over, pull it through, hold your tail, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's your front post standing with that loop. If I can find it, there it is, single crochet. Okay. Now, our repeat begins with the bold square brackets, 1 back post single crochet around the next stitch. So back post, that means come down from the back, get your yarn out of the way, up from the back, down from the top, and just pull through and 1 single crochet. That's all, just 1 single crochet. Now in the next 6 we're going to do a back post half double crochet. So yarn over this time, up from the back, down from the top, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. That's the first one. We need to do 6 of those. Up, down, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, pull through all. 2, this is the third one, this is the fourth, this is the 5th, and 1 more, 6. That leaves you 1 more stitch over here, and we repeat what we did at the beginning with a back post single crochet. So no yarn over, come up from the back, down from the top, pull through, and pull through 2. Now you've got to put the single crochet at either end, and it's a front post single around that half double. We still want that little dip in there to maintain the little petals for us. Now once we've done that, we just have to repeat it all the way around, but we finish off with the front post single crochet around that front post half double. Right, so there's 1 there, and now there's 1 there. Let's do that again quickly. So we start with a back post single crochet around the first stitch, then back post half doubles around the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then the last one gets a back post single crochet. So you know, yarn over, pull through both loops, and you finish off with the front post, so down from the top, up from the back, front post single crochet, and there you go. Do that little check that I mentioned in all the videos. When you're doing back post stitch work, roll the work and see that you've made every single stitch cleanly around the post. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches total, single crochet at each end, 6 half doubles in the center, front post single around every front post half double. So that's the repeat: single, half, 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 single. I don't think I said it 6 times, but you get the gist. 1 at each end single, 6 half doubles in the middle, front post single. So get yourself all the way down around to the other side. We come back here, we don't have to do the final front post single because we've already done it. Join to the top of it, just in those top loops there. Join with the slip stitch, fasten off and secure your ends, and we'll come back for round 7. Round 7 has a note for us that asks us to use the same colour that we used in round 4. So if you're changing colours, you might want to take note of this. If you're using a cake, then just carry on. Now, round 4 is the round with these puff stitches, these and the front post half double crochet there, puff stitches. But we're going to be working from behind. So the following round will be worked at the back of the work, but with the right side facing up. So don't turn it over, just keep it like this, but just know that we're going to be working from the back. Now, we need to start with a standing back post single crochet. Now we did a front post single crochet in the round we just did, but we're going to do a back post one this time around that puff stitch, and you can see now the logic of it. To use the same color, it will disguise this set of stitches as we go around those puff stitches. So slip knot on your hook. Let me just come down into shot, up from the back of the first puff and down from the top. Pull the yarn through. Just notice how I pinch the work, it just makes it easier to do the pull through, and then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook, and that is your first standing back post single crochet around the first puff stitch. And you can just barely make out, let me just get the loop that went around the puff stitch. It's right there. So it came up from the back, down from the top, and it encircled the top of the puff stitch. Right. Next up it says to chain 1. So just push the work forward a little bit so you can see what you're doing. Chain 1, and then back post single crochet around the next puff stitch and do that twice. So chain 1, back post single crochet around the middle puff stitch. Now there's a group of 3 of them there. Up, down, pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's the first repeat. Now do it again. Chain 1, again, up from the back around that puff stitch, down from the top, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and that's it, complete. So we're building a little bit of scaffolding behind the puff stitches, and we want them to be invisible if possible, so that's why we're using the same color, so you can't actually see them. Okay, next up we need to chain 3. 1, 2 and 3. We're going to skip the front post half double crochet that was down there. We're just going to skip it because we're going to be working around all of round 4 here. Skip that, which is right there, and we make again the back post single crochet around the first puff. So just come up from the back of that, in between that post stitch and the first puff stitch, up, down, pull through 2. Chain 1, again up, down, pull through 2, chain 1 and 1 more, up, down, back post single crochet, and that's the second lot. It's kind of hard to see because the color is the same, but there we have it. We have 3 back post single crochet with 2 chain 1s in between. We have a chain 3 bridging across to the next lot of puff stitches, and again our stitch work is made from the back. There it is, back post single, chain 1, back post single, chain 1, back post single. Okay, so again, chain 3, skip the post stitch in between and start again. Back post up around the puffs. Make sure you get around the puffs. I almost went above. Around the puff, up from the back, down from the top, pull through 2, chain 1. Chain 1. So you end up with 3 back post single crochet and only 2 chain 1s, one in between them. Okay. So that's all we're going to do all the way around. So now I need to do my chain 3 and do my back post singles with the chain 1s again. You'll come all the way around and you will finish with your 3 back post singles around that final set of puff stitches. So here's where we started, right here. You can see my loop. So I need to finish here. Back post single, chain 1, back post single, chain 1, back post single, all worked from the back. Don't forget to make your final chain 3. So make your final chain 3 and join to that first standing front post single under those top loops where the knot is. Okay, but please don't forget your chain 3. Alright, I'll leave you with that. It's not too difficult, but when you turn it over, you really be hard pressed. You're just going to see a little row of stitch work here, but because it's the same colour, it is kind of hard to differentiate it. But that's the whole point. That's the point. We want to disguise them. Alright, okay, I'll leave you with it all the way around. Join to the beginning back post single after that chain 3 with a slip stitch, fasten off, secure your ends, and we'll come back for round 8. To begin round 8, we need to join in any chain 3 space with a standing extended double crochet. Now, extended double crochet is just a double crochet with an extra step. So what we have to do is we have a slip knot on our hook because it's a standing stitch. Bend the work forward, find any chain 3 space. We need to do a yarn over for the double crochet component. Now we go into that chain 3 space, pull up a loop, hold the tail. Now normally for a double crochet you yarn over, pull through 2. We're not going to do that. We're going to go yarn over, pull through only 1 loop on the hook first. We still have 3 loops on the hook now. We're going to do yarn over, pull through 2 twice as normal for a double crochet. And so what we do get here is we get a little bit of extra height in our double crochet. Not as tall as a treble and not as short as a double. Just a little bit taller than a normal double crochet. Okay, so that's the first one. Now we need to put 6 more extended double crochet into that same chain 3 space. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 first, then 2 twice. Very easy. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 2. You get a nice little bit of height in those stitches. So you need a total of 7, including that first standing one. Let's see if I can get them done quickly. That's 5. Now if you're finding that you're accidentally pulling through too many loops, I don't know if you noticed, but what I do is I tend to hold those loops just with my finger there, and then I can pull through 1 easily without catching more than 1. So there's 3 and 4 makes 7. That's your first step. Now the repeat begins as follows. Skip the next single crochet, which is this one here. Right there, that very first single crochet, the back post single crochet we made, and we're also going to skip the chain 1 space, and we're going to put a single crochet in the middle one of those 3 back post singles. So just in the top loops of that middle back post single crochet, make 1 single crochet, and then we do it again. We skip now in reverse, the chain first and then the single crochet, and we go straight to the chain 3 space, and we make 7 more extended double crochet. So it's a pretty easy repeat. All you're going to be making is these extended double crochet, 7 of them in every chain 3 space, and in the middle of those 3 back post singles, in the middle one, you're going to put 1 single crochet. So just fan out the work there. There they are, 1 there, 1, 2, 3. We just put a single crochet right in there. Alright, what have I done here? 5, is that 5? Yeah. No, I think I've got 6, 1 more. 7, come over to the middle single crochet, there's the 1, the chain, and the second one, single crochet in there, and then just skip all the way across to the next chain 3. So I'll let you finish that, and this is what you end up with. So they will just poke out at the top, over the top of your petals here, like that. Make sure you've got 7. Make sure you put that single crochet in there to continue the petal theme here, and then come around, 7 more extended double crochet. Come all the way back around. You will finish, where are we here, with a single crochet into that middle back post single, 1, 2, 3, into the middle one, and then join to the top of your standing extended double crochet with a slip stitch. Fasten off and secure your ends, and we'll come back for round 9. Round 9 tells us that our shells may begin to curl forward into the petals in this round, and that this is normal, so we're not going to fret about that as it happens. Now what we need to do, you need to roll back these petals, roll them forward I should say, so that you can see the single crochet that's behind. Remember we did that 1 single crochet in the middle of the 3 back post singles. We're going to join with a standing front post single crochet, slip knot on your hook, front post single crochet, so down from the top and around that single crochet, up from the back, pull yarn through, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. So that's our front post single crochet that went around the single crochet below. Now we're going to make some puff stitches, and they are in green text, which means that they are only 7 loop puff stitches again. So first thing we do is make a puff stitch in each of the next 7. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. Remember we made the 7 extended double crochet, so we're going to make 1 puff stitch in every one of those. So yarn over, pull up a loop once, yarn over, pull up a second loop, and yarn over, pull up a third loop. That gives you 7 loops on your hook. If you spread them out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there, and 7. Yarn over, pull through all of the loops, and chain 1 to close. Okay, so we need to do 7 of those. Let's go. Yarn over, pull up a loop once, twice, 3 times, pull through, closing chain. Again, once, twice, and 3 times, pull through all the loops, closing chain. 2 and 3, pull through, closing chain. 2 more, 1, 2 and 3, pull through, closing chain, and the last one. So make sure you've got your 7. It's easier to check them now than to have to undo them later, so just do a quick check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, perfect. And then straight into the front post single around the single, so no yarn over, front post single crochet around the single crochet below, and that's the whole repeat. We're going to do that all the way around. So 1 7 loop puff stitch into each of the 7 extended double crochet, and make sure you find that first one. It might be a little bit crowded because of this front post stitch, it kind of crowds everything, so make sure you find it. There it is, right behind there. It's a little bit hard to see. Get them all, front post single around every single crochet all the way around. When you get to the beginning, you don't have to do the front post single because we started with that, so just join up to that beginning front post single, the standing one, with a slip stitch, fasten off and secure your ends, and then we'll come back for round 10. You will have 8 shells of 7 puffs, and you will also have 8 front post single crochet going all the way around. Okay, not too difficult, just a little bit time consuming, so take your time. And now you see, now that we've put the puff stitches in, it has lifted my little lilac section, and you just get a nice little pop of colour behind the petals there. Beautiful. Alright, back soon, let's get that done. Now I've just popped back in quickly to show you that yes, there is some curling here. You can see it quite obviously. And also one final reminder, when you get to the end, this very last stitch is quite hidden as well, crowded out by the front post single there, so make sure you count these and make sure you've got 7. I almost missed it earlier. I finished up with 6 and then I realised I was missing 1. So just those couple of quick things. There's that curling that the note mentions. We're not going to worry about it, and we'll carry on with round 10. Round 10 begins with a standing front post half double crochet around one of these front post single crochet. We're still pushing these petals forward out of our way. So slip knot on your hook, yarn over for the half double crochet, down and around that front post single, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook for your first standing front post half double. Okay, now what we're going to do is make 1 half double crochet between the first 2 puff stitches of the first shell. So here they are, there they are there. So we're just going to go in between them and make 1 half double crochet in the gap between the 2 puff stitches, like that. Now we're going to put 2, there's a little mini repeat here, in the parentheses, those round brackets, 2 double crochet between the next 2 puff stitches 4 times. So 2 double crochet once, twice, 3 times and 4. Okay, so let's do that nice and quick. 2 double crochet, skip over to the next gap, 2 double crochet. So we're working in between the puff stitches now. 2 more here. That's a total of 8 double crochet in 4 spaces. Oops, snag my little puff there. 1 and 2, like that. Okay. And then in the final gap between the puff stitches right there, we're going to make 1 half double crochet. So a half double crochet in the first space between the puffs, 2 double crochet in the next 4 gaps, and then 1 half double crochet in the last space. Now let's begin the full repeat properly. It begins with a front post half double crochet around the front post single crochet. So 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now 1 half double between the first 2 puffs, just the one, and then 4 sets of 2 double crochet in the next 4 gaps. 2 there, 2 there, 2 there. Oops, I split my puff. Be careful not to split your puffs. You try and get your hook right under where that closing chain went. So you just got to push everything out of the way and get under that closing chain. Like that. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, and then in the last gap a half double crochet. Just like that. That's the end of the repeat. So carry on. It begins with a front post half double crochet around the front post single crochet, 1 half double there, 2 double crochet there, there, there and there, so it's 4 times, 1 half double in the last gap right there, and then again front post single, front post half double, beg your pardon, make sure you make a front post half double. Ooh, sorry. Then half double, 2 doubles, 2 doubles, 2 doubles, 2 doubles, and a half double to finish off. Come all the way back around, and you should finish here with your half double crochet in that last gap. We've already got our front post half double, so join straight into the top of that, fasten off and secure your ends, and we'll come back for round 11. So as you can see now, as we're working these stitches, those shells are flattening off. So we've gone from this, sorry about my ends, I'm going to clean them up now. We've gone from that to this, and they will continue to flatten as we go on and keep working. So don't panic too much about that little bit of curl. Unless you've got something really bad, if they're pulling really badly like this, I'd like you to go back and check that you did the extra closing chain after you pull through on your puffs. If you're missing that closing chain, there won't be enough room and it will really bunch badly. So just, if you're worried, just double check that you did that. Okay, let's get that one done and we'll come back for round 11. Round 11 begins with a standing front post half double around the standing front post half double we just made. So there's one of them there, anyone. So slip knot on the hook, yarn over, and a front post half double crochet where we just made one. Just get through all the loops on the hook, and that begins. Sorry about that, I know I went off shot, but I just had to pull it through. There we go. We just made one, so you know how to do it. Okay, now we're going to make a back post half double crochet, so coming up from the back around the next 10 stitches. Now remembering that we had 4 sets of 2 double crochet plus 1 half double at each end, gives you a total of 10. 8 plus 2 is 10. So make sure, this is a good chance to do a stitch count. So back post half double, yarn over, up from the back, down from the top between the stitches, yarn over, pull through all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's like counting sheep, 6, 7, 8, 9, that was the last of the double crochet, and then I still have to do that final half double crochet. So don't be tricked. Make sure you've got 10, roll it, make sure you did a clean wrap of each post of each stitch, and then go back and make a front post half double around the front post half double. Very simple. Repeat. Start again. Back post up from the back, down from the top. So your shells have the back post stitches, back post half double, and your front post half double gets another front post half double. Not a lot to remember there, so I'll let you finish it off. Come all the way back around, finish your last shell, and make a slip stitch join into the beginning, the front post half double crochet that you made here, the standing front post half double. Join up there with the slip stitch, fasten off and secure your ends, and take the moment and check that you've got 10 stitches around every shell and 8 of these front post half doubles going all the way around the piece. All right, nice and easy. Back for round 12 soon. Round 12 has a note that we're going to use the same colour that we used in round 9. Now round 9 is this round of puff stitches that we made. That's the round. But it also tells us that we're going to be working from the front, but we're going to be making our stitches behind. Alright, so don't flip the work, just keep it right way up for now. Now what we're going to do is join around the third puff of any shell. So here are the puffs, 1, 2 and 3. The third puff of the shell, we're going to do it from behind with a standing back post single. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, back post, standing back post single. So slip knot on your hook, pick it up, find it, 1, 2, 3, there it is right there. Come up from the back between the second and third, down from the top over the third one, pull the yarn through and make a single crochet. So that's our standing back post single crochet worked around the third puff stitch. And again, just like we did down here, because we're using the same color for those of us who are, it disappears. You can't see that loop. Okay, now we're going to chain 1, make a back post single crochet around the next puff stitch twice. So the next puff is the fourth one, which is over here. So again, up from the back between the third and fourth, down from the top, back post single crochet. So we're going to do that twice. The chain 1 and the back post was supposed to be done 2 more times after the initial one. So that's once, chain 1, do it again. Come down to between the 4th and 5th, across, pull through, single crochet. Okay, now we're going to stop at that point, but just have a quick look and you can see that the third, if I just take the hook out, my 3rd, 4th and 5th puffs have an extra loop around the top of them, which is hard to see because it's the same color, and that's the whole point. But the 1st and 2nd and the 6th and 7th, there were 7 puffs in that round, have nothing. Alright, so we continue on. Sorry about all my ends, I'll fix those up soon. Now we're going to start our full repeat. It says chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then we come over, skip the next 2 puffs, which is the last 2 of this shell. We're skipping the post stitches here and the first 2 puffs. So we're skipping all the way and starting again, coming up between the second, 1, 2, 3, the second and third puff of the next shell. Up, down, pull through, single crochet, back post single crochet, chain 1 to the next one, because then we have to do 2 of these, chain 1, back post single crochet, chain 1 again. So what we're doing is you will have 3 back post single crochet, there you go, around the 3rd, 4th and 5th puffs, 3, 4 and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in between those back post single crochet there is a chain 1 there and a chain 1 there, so 2 chain 1s. Okay, and then we start again, because we have to go all the way around. So we start with chain 6, 4, 5 and 6. So make sure your chains are comfortably loose, not too tight, so you don't want them pulling. Come all the way across, skip 2 puffs, skip the front post stitch, skip 2 more puffs, come up in front of the third one and down and start your back post single crochet. Chain 1, another back post single crochet around the next puff, chain 1 and a final back post single crochet around the 5th puff and stop. That's the whole repeat. And then start again, chain 6, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, that's all you're going to do all the way around. Skip, 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 skip to the third one and around it. Chain 1, around the next one. Oops, I dropped it. It is a bit hard, but you kind of get the rhythm of it. And then one more back post single crochet around the 5th, puff, and that's it. No extra chain 1 there, just going straight into the next chain 6. So you're building another little bit of a scaffolding here for whatever's coming next. All the way around, you will finish with your chain 6 across to the first back post single crochet we made. You join to that with a slip stitch and fasten off and secure your ends, but you must have that final chain 6 bridging across there, otherwise the whole thing will pucker up and we don't want that. Interesting to see what's going to come next. I need to tidy up. Alright, let's get that one done and we'll come back for round 13. So for round 13 now, we're going to be working into that little bit of scaffolding we've created, and we're going to join in the first back post single crochet of any group of 3 that we did. And you're going to join, you can make a knot and make a chain 1 that does not count, and then make a single crochet in that same stitch. I'm just going to use a standing single crochet into the stitch. Now make sure it's in the stitch and not in the chain, so get in under those top loops. Alright. Now we're going to put a single crochet in the chain space, like that, and then single crochet into the next back post single crochet, and we're going to do that twice. So that's once, single crochet in the chain, this is the second time, single crochet in the chain there, and then a single crochet into the next and third and final back post single crochet of this group here. Now we'll begin the full repeat with the bold square brackets, sorry, no yarn overs. We'll put 3 single crochet into the chain 6 space, just 3, that's fine, that's all you need. Next up, we're going to make 1 single crochet through the back loop only of this front post half double crochet that's at the front. This is round 11. These back post half doubles we did are round 11. This is round 12 that we made with all these chains, and we are currently working round 13. So we're going to enclose this chain. We're going to anchor everything to the chain by working through the back loops of this post half double crochet there, the front post half double crochet. Now, that's the front loop of the stitch, that's the back loop, and behind it, right there, right down here in there, is the third loop. Now we like to use both the back and the third loop for these back loop only stitches. It just gives you more stability. See how I've got 2 loops on the hook there? If you've done this before with me, I'm sorry, but for anyone who hasn't, there we go. But we're also going to enclose the chain like this. So you pull the yarn through from under the chain so that the chain is now anchored like that. Right? Okay. Now we're going to put another 3 single crochet in the remaining bit of the chain 6 on the other side of that anchor stitch we just made. So 3 more chains. So that now we have 3 chains on this side. We have a back loop only single crochet going through the front post half double crochet and enclosing the chain 6, and then 3 more single crochet on the other side of that chain 6. Okay, it's a bit of a mouthful, I know that. Now we're going to put a single crochet into that back post single crochet, so we're working back into round 12 again now. Then 1 single crochet into the chain space, single crochet into the next back post single crochet into the chain space, and a single crochet into the next back post single. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches going in there. 3 of them are going into the back post singles and 2 go into the chain 1 spaces that we made in between. Okay, and then you just start again. So let's do it again. 3 single crochet into the chain 6, 3. Then back loop only into the front post half double crochet, back loop only down through the center of it, and enclosing that chain 6 as well. That's a single crochet like that, so that you can see that the front loop of this front post half double is still showing there. And then 3 more single crochet on the other side of that anchor stitch, so that we end up with a total of 7 stitches going into the chain. 3 on this side, 1 anchoring, and 3 on that side. And then again 1 single crochet in the first back post single. If I can get in there, make sure you get into the stitch under the top loops. It's sometimes a bit fiddly, but get in there. 1 into the chain, 1 into the second back post single, 1 into the second chain, and a final 1 into the third back post single crochet. That's the whole repeat. So we are basically going to create a nice full round single crochet all the way around and anchor down these petals. Okay, just like that. So I'll leave you with it. I'll just recap one final time. Your repeat is 3 single crochet into the chain space, back loop only single crochets through this post stitch and then closing the chain. There should be no excess chain on the back of this, it's all covered up. Then you come back after that and you put another 3 single crochet into the rest of the chain space. Then we have a single crochet in the back post single, in the chain 1, back post single, chain 1 and back post single. All done, and then you start again. Come all the way back around. So you will finish here with 3 single crochet, another anchor stitch through the top of this front post stitch anchored to there, and then 3 final single crochet in there. Join to the top of your beginning single crochet with the slip stitch. Don't end off, we're going to continue with the same color. So slip stitch, join, and wait for me. All right, I won't be long. Back soon for round 14. Now round 14, as I said, we're going to continue with this colour. We're going to be making puff stitches. They are in green font, so that means they are only 7 loop puff stitches. So it's only yarn over 3 times, pull up a loop. So let's do that. But we've got to start with a starting puff. So first up, we've got to pull up the loop to the right height and then begin to make our puff. So yarn over, pull up a loop once, twice, and 3 times. Yarn over, pull through all, and a closing chain. That's your starting puff stitch. Now all we're going to do all the way around is skip a stitch. So skip the next stitch, skip there, and then start making your puffs. Yarn over, pull up a loop once, twice, and 3 times. Pull through all, closing chain. Very easy repeat. Skip one, puff stitch in the next. So I'll leave you to do that. You should end up with 48 puffs. Now is that a 7 loop puff or a 9 loop puff? I don't know. I lost count, so I'm going to do that one again, but you should end up with 48 all the way around. You should have one final stitch to skip when you come to the back to here. You should have that final stitch left to skip. You will join to the top of the puff stitch, the beginning puff stitch. Now just be mindful, I've said this before in lots of videos, is don't join to this extended loop that we use. Join to the closing chain for your starting puff. That will give you a nice neat join and you won't split open your puff. If you use the chain 2, because there is also the version where you can do a chain 2 before you start your puff, do not join to the chain 2, you'll just split the whole stitch open. Join to that closing chain right at the top here for a really neat look. Again, don't end off, we're going to continue with this colour again for round 15. Alright, 48 puff stitch, skip one, puff stitch, skip one, all the way around. Back soon. So round 15, and before we start, just do a final little check. Make sure your count is correct, that you've got 48 puff stitches. Make sure that you've got a skip stitch in between them. It's very easy to see that skipped stitch. And make sure that you've done both your pull through and your closing chain, the extra closing chain, because that gives us the stretch that we need so that these puffs will rotate, go all the way around without pulling the work in. Every puff stitch should have 2 sets of top loops. The pull through loops, that's these here, and then the closing chain, that's that second set there. Alright, moving along. Now, we need to, from the top of the join, which we join to the closing chain there, like I did there, we move slip stitch into the next space. Just get yourself into a space. And we begin with a chain 2 to represent the first half double crochet. Then we put a second full proper half double crochet into that same space. So we've essentially got 2 half double crochet in that space. Next up, to finish the setup, we put 2 half double crochet in the next space twice. So that's 2 in there and 2 more over here, so that we end up with 3 sets of 2 half doubles. Starting 1, 2, 2 and 2. And then the last thing we need to do for the setup is put 3 half double crochet in the next space. So we have 2, 2, 2 and 3. Now you're going to have to remember this. So you can do it any number of ways. You can grab maybe a stitch marker. Oops, I think I just whacked the camera too. And just, I like to use pins actually, they're really easy. Stick that in there and I can see where it is. Because the repeat begins again now with the bold square brackets, and this is what you can do all the way around. You do 2 half double crochet into the next space 3 times. 2 and 1 more. 1 and 2, that's 3. And then 3 half double crochet into the 4th one. 3. And then you can pull that pin out and stick it into the next one so you can remember where you're up to. So there needs to be 3 sets of 2. Oops, 2 in there, 2 in there, and 2 in there. 3 sets of 2 and then 1 set of 3. So you can easily count from there. You can see there are 1, 2, 3 there. There are 1, 2 there, 1, 2 there, 1, 2 there. So we're up to a 3. It's important you get your stitch count right. You need to have 108 half double crochet going all the way around. And this is where many people get confused sometimes with these irregular increases. You have to remember to put them in, otherwise your stitch count won't come right. Alright, all the way around you will finish up with 3 half double crochet in the last available space right there, because we have 2, 2, 2 there and a 3 there. Okay, now we are required to join with a needle join here for neatness. So if you don't know how to do a needle join, I can't remember if we've done one before, I've already forgotten. I do have a YouTube video available if you want to go and have a look at how to do a needle join. It's on my channel Crochet My Way. There will also be a stitch tutorial, a photo tutorial with your pattern if you want to take a look at that. So let's get around, fasten off, needle join if you can. Otherwise, look, it's not the end of the world. You can still also do a slip stitch join, but fasten off and secure your ends, and then we'll be back for round 16. Round 16 is very easy. We are going to join around any stitch with a standing back post half double crochet. We've done standing stitches before and post stitches. So slip knot on the hook, yarn over for the half double, come up from behind any stitch and down from the top, pull through 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and that is a standing back post half double crochet. And that's all we're going to do all the way around. Back post half double crochet 108 times. There is no increasing in this round, so that's whatever you landed in the previous round. You should have had 108 half double crochet, and you are going to do another 108 back post half double crochet for this round. Nice and easy, no big deal. Get that one done, and then we will come back and I'll explain to you. You do need to fasten off and secure your ends with this one as well. We're changing colour, and then I will explain to you where you have to join up for round 17. It's a very specific spot, so I will talk you through that in a minute. So let's get this one done nice and easy. Take a break, no thinking, no counting, and I'll be back soon for round 17. Don't forget that visual check underneath, make sure you haven't missed any. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so now to start round 17, and just make sure that you've got a nice flat circle here and you've got your correct stitch count. So we have a big fat note at the end of round 16 telling us where to start for round 17. So what we've got to do is, to locate the starting stitch, we follow a line of front posts from the second layer of petals. Now here's the first layer of petals, and this is the second layer. So find a front post stitch. There's the line of front post stitches right there. And we go, just get a needle or a pencil or something and just hold it there and go up. Now you'll see how it's landed right on top of the first of a group of 2 of these half double crochets from round 15. Right there. So we're going to start in the back post stitch that went into that first of the 2. Right there. So you just have to mark that stitch, and I should have grabbed a stitch marker before I started, but I didn't. So you just mark that stitch coming up the line to the first of a group of 2. Now the note also gives you a placement if you've landed on a group of 3. Now if you've changed your colours, if you haven't followed the pattern's colourway, you could land at a group of 3. That's thunder in the background. If you can hear it, it's a beautiful thunderstorm going on outside. I'm so happy, I love them. Now, so if your post stitches land at a group of 3, you need to find the second one and then join up. Roll it forward and find the post stitch that went into the second one and mark that one. Now if you're wondering why we're doing this, it's so that we can center the center mandala inside the square, so that you have two petals. Actually, we're going to be centering these outer petals, two petals, top, bottom, and side and side. Now if you don't care, it doesn't matter, but if you do care like me, because I'm a bit crazy sometimes, I like some symmetry, you need to start in that spot, lined up with your post stitches into the first single half double crochet and into the back post stitch that went into that first half double crochet of a group of two. Or as I said, alternately, if you've come across, if you've moved, or if you used your own colorways and you started in a random place, you need to try and line yourself up. You might have to line up with the middle one of a group of three. That's it. That's all you have to do. Alright, so let's get started. So now that we know where to join, you can join with a slip knot and make a chain 2 for the first component of the stitch. We're going to be making 4 double crochet cluster stitches in this round. Now we did 3 double crochet clusters way down here in round 1, 2, 3, I think it was. There it is. 3, and you can see it's a 3 double crochet cluster because it has 3 posts in it. We're going to make 4 double crochet clusters this time. So your chain 2 would be the first component, and then you need to do a 3 double crochet cluster to make the total 4 double crochet cluster. I'm going to show you how to do a standing full 4 double crochet cluster. Yarn over with a slip knot on the hook. Get back into that stitch right there. Pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2 only, and stop. Now you remember what I said? Cluster stitches are incomplete double crochet closed off together. So you will either have a chain 2 here or the first part of a double crochet like me. So then I'm going to put 3 more of them. Yarn over, pull up another loop. Yarn over, pull through 2. That's the second one. Again. A third and the fourth. So you will either have a chain 2 on the end plus these extra 3 partial double crochets, or you will have 4 partial double crochets from the get-go like me. Then we just yarn over and pull through all of the loops on the hook, and that's the first 4 double crochet cluster made. Next we need to make a chain 3 like that, and now we're going to make another 4 double crochet cluster in the same stitch. So be careful, make sure you're getting into those stitches into the same stitch here. So it's going to be pulling it wide open quite a bit, but that's okay. So yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2 once, twice, 3 times, and 4. Pull through all to close. Right, now we're going to start our repeat. And we're going to be building up our sides now. We're going to make corners. So that is actually our first corner right there. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip 2 stitches. Now the first one might be a bit crowded, so you've got to watch it. Mine actually isn't for some inexplicable reason. They usually are. Skip 2. In the third stitch, we're going to make a V-stitch. V-stitch is yarn over. It's a double crochet with a chain 1 and another double crochet. That's your V-stitch right there. So skip 2, 1, 2, V-stitch. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches again, 1, 2, and we're going to work in the back loop only, just like we did when we anchored the stitch. Down through the top of the stitch, pick up the back and third loop and make a single crochet. And we're going to make 16 of them. That's 2, that's 3. I'll make 16 and I'll come back. Back loop only, make sure you end up with an unbroken line. It's my 16, and you'll notice, and it's correct, don't worry if you see this, that the V-stitch has tilted a little bit because it's been pulling, it's filling the gap where the 2 skipped stitches are, and that's as it should be, so don't worry about that. 16, back loop only with the front loops free, and we're done that bit. Next up, we're going to skip 2 stitches and make another V-stitch. 1 and 2. And a V-stitch, just a regular V-stitch. You don't have to do back loop only for this. Double crochet, chain 1 and another double crochet into the same stitch, so that we're mirroring. We've got 1 at each end now. And then we need to chain 1, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and make our corner of 4 double crochet clusters. So yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2 once and twice, 3 times, and 4, pull through all, and chain 3 in between them, and the second one for the next corner. Once, twice, 3 times, and 4. Okay, that's the whole repeat. It's actually really quite a simple repeat, but there's a couple of things to remember. So there is a chain 1 after the corner clusters before your V, and there is a chain 1 over here after the V and before the clusters. So in between the V's and the clusters there has to be a chain 1. Make sure you don't forget that, otherwise it will pull too tight. There is no chain 1 in between the V's and the single crochet, nothing there, but there is a chain 1 in the V itself. Very simple like that. So you turn around now, we make a chain 1. I'll just get you started on the next repeat. Chain 1, skip 2, 1, 2, V stitch in the next, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, like that. Skip 2 again, 1, 2, and start your back loop only, single crochet. Now, word of caution here, take your time and watch your tension. Single crochet, we get really fast when we're doing them sometimes because they're sort of very basic stitching, and you can so easily end up with a tight section of single crochet which will then buckle the mandala section. So stop, and after you've done your 16, just double check, make sure have a light hand when you're doing the single crochet. Don't pull tightly if you can possibly help it. So 16 single crochet, then you skip 2, you make a V stitch in the 3rd stitch, and then you chain 1 and you make your next set of corner clusters. Very, very easy, simple repeat, and already we are now beginning to square off our beautiful Tamara square. So there you go. Let you see it up close like that. Get that one done, and then we'll come back for round 18. You need to fasten off and secure your ends. The pattern changes colour unless you're doing your own thing. That's fine. Okay. And also, final reminder to check an unbroken line of these little beautiful little front loops. Round 18 begins in any corner space, the chain 3 spaces that we did between the clusters, any one, just pick one. Now you can join and make a chain 2 for your first double crochet, or you can make a standing double crochet like me. And then 6 more double crochet. You need a total of 7 in that corner space. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like that. Now we're going to make a front post double crochet around the 4 double crochet cluster, this one here. Yarn over, front post down from the top, up from the back, pull your loop through, and then make your double crochet as normal. So we have cinched around that cluster there. Now we're going to put 2 puff stitches in the next V stitch. We're beginning the full repeat of a whole side now, and that's where the asterisk is. That tells you that this is the repeat for the full side. Now the puff stitch is in green font again, so those are 7 loop puffs. So yarn over, pull up a loop 3 times, 2 and 3 for 7 loops on the hook, pull through all and a closing chain, and we need 2 puffs in there. 2 and 3, pull through all, closing chain. So there we have 7 double crochet, we have a front post double crochet around the cluster, and now we have 2 puff stitches in the V stitch. Now we're going to skip two stitches, the double crochet of the V and the first single crochet, and we're going to put a V stitch in the next stitch. So skip there, and into the second single crochet we're going to make a V, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, just like that. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the third one along we're going to make a single crochet. We need 8 single crochet along this stretch, so there's 2 of them, 3, 4, 5, and remembering about tension again, try not to tighten up if humanly possible. Be wary of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now at the other end we're going to do another chain 1. So we came into the single crochet with a chain 1 after the V. We come out of the single crochet with a chain 1 before we do the V, that is the mirror image of this beginning here. So then we skip 2 and we put a V stitch over here with a chain 1 in it. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So you can see now we are mirroring what we did in the beginning, but in reverse order. So after the V, we're now going to put 2 7 loop puff stitches into the V from the previous round. 2 and 3, pull through, closing chain, and one more. 2 and 3, pull through and closing chain. Okay, now we've reached the corner, and just like we did here around this cluster, we put a front post double crochet. We're also going to put one around the last stitch of this side, which is that cluster there. So a front post double crochet around the cluster, and then in the corner your 7 double crochet, and 7, and then a final front post double crochet around the other half of the corner, the other cluster in that corner. Okay, so let's just recap. It's not actually all that difficult, but you do have to remember where your placement goes. So the corners each get 7 double crochet in the chain space, but the 2 clusters on either side get a front post double crochet, so you must do one around each of them. You then put 2 puff stitches into your V-stitch. We then skip the second part of the V-stitch and the first single crochet, and we put a V-stitch into the next stitch. So over here it is. See, we did skip that and skip that, and then we put a V-stitch in here. Then you make a chain 1. Otherwise the V-stitch won't stretch all the way across because you're skipping 2 stitches here as well. The first 2 single crochet after it are skipped. We put in 8 single crochet. We put in another chain, so there's a chain there and there. There's a V-stitch there and there, 2 stitches skipped in between. There's your symmetry. Then we skip the last single crochet and the double crochet of the V, and we put 2 puff stitches in there with a closing chain as well, again after each one of them. Always remember those closing chains. And then we put our post stitch in around the cluster, front post double crochet, 7 double crochet into the corner, front post double crochet around the cluster. Turn around, start again with 2 puff stitches in the V-stitch. All right, so it's actually not all that complicated really. Keep an eye on the pattern as you go, read all the details. It is very easy to miss seeing those front post double crochet, so try and remember to do them, because otherwise your stitch count won't be right. So when you come all the way back around here, you will do your 8 single crochet here, your chain 1, your V-stitch goes in this second last single crochet. You will then skip the 2 stitches and put your 2 puff stitches in there, and then your final job will be to put a front post double crochet around this cluster before you join, either to the top of your chain 2 or to the top of, like I have, my standing stitch here. Alright, then you can fasten off and secure your ends, and then we'll come back for round 19. Round 19, we're going to start with a standing front post double crochet, a standing one, and it's going to go around the first front post double crochet of any corner. Okay, now you've got to remember from the previous round that Vanessa counted her 2 front post double crochets as part of her corner count. So when she says the first front post double crochet, just to make it nice and tricksy for us, make sure we're paying attention, it's this one, not this one, this one. So yarn over with a slip knot on the hook, front post double crochet around the already existing front post double crochet from the previous round, just like that. Now we're going to make a puff stitch in each of the next 7 stitches, and you remember we did 7 double crochet here from there to there, so 1 puff into every single one, and again they are green, so 7 loop puffs, which is 3 yarn overs. Now your first one's going to be crowded, so don't miss it. Just if you pull your post stitch out of the way, you can see the first one, but if you just let it stand upright, you see how it kind of masks that first stitch, so don't miss the first stitch. Pull up a loop 3 times with yarn overs, pull through, don't forget the closing chain. So 7 of these, I'll go and do them, and I'll come back in a second and we'll continue on. Okay, so there they are. There's my front post stitch, standing front post double crochet, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loop puff stitches. Now we finish off this area with another front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. So again, we have one at each end. Alright, now the repeat starts properly. We begin with 2 double crochet between the next 2 puffs. So these were the 2 puffs we put in the V-stitch, so just in between them 2 regular double crochet stitches like that. Now we're going to put 2 more puff stitches in the V-stitch. Again, 7 loop puffs, so yarn over, pull up a loop 3 times, and 3, pull through, closing chain, and another one, 2 and 3, pull through, and a closing chain. There's a lot going on, and you have to be mindful of where you're up to when you're doing these, so just take your time. So the next thing we're going to do is put 1 half double crochet in that chain 1 space. Remember, we put a chain 1 before we did the single crochet, so just a half double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, like that. Now we're going to put a half double crochet in each of those 8 single crochet, just one, starting with the first one, 8 of them, half double crochet across. So there's 1 in the chain space, plus the 8 in the single crochet that we did, like that, and then 1 more in the other chain space at the other end. So if you remember, we did a chain space before and a chain space after, so that gives us a total of 10 half double crochet after the puff stitches. And so of course now we're going to mirror back what we did over here, so we are now going to put 2 puff stitches into the V-stitch. Always remembering that these are 7 loop puffs with a closing chain, 1, 2 and 3, pull through, closing chain. Now just like over here, we're going to put 2 double crochet in between these 2 puffs below. That's 1 there and 1 more, like that. And now we hit the whole corner area, and we have 1 front post double crochet around the front post double crochet, and then we start the 7 puff stitches. So remembering to find that very first one, which is a little bit hard to see because of the post stitch pulling everything close together, and it's hard to see the first one. So make sure you do a count. Don't just assume you've got them all, because you'll be short a stitch. I've got almost halfway, so I may as well finish them. And 2 more. Last one. And then we put the final front post double crochet around the front post double crochet, and I'm all tangled up. There we go. Okay, so that it is a big repeat. There's a lot going on here, but so let's just talk through it again, because that was the end of the repeat. We start again around the corner. We start with the 2 double crochet between the 2 puffs. So we have 2 double crochet between the puffs, and then in the V-stitch 2 puff stitches, 2 7 loop puff stitches, and then we just put a series of half double crochet across here, 1 in the chain space, then 8, 1 in each of the single crochet, and another 1 in the chain space. So you've got to have 10 half double crochet in this section, and then we reverse. We put the 2 puff stitches in the V, and we put 2 double crochet between the puffs, and then we start the corner with a front post double crochet here, 7 puffs around into each of the 7 double crochet, and a front post double crochet in the last one of the corner there. It's really quite easy, just a matter of placement. All right, if you think you've got it, if you can't, you might have to just rewind a little bit, but it's quite simple, and we are slowly pulling out our corners into the square shape eventually. All right, come all the way back around. You don't need to do the last corner, it's already done. So you will make your 2 double crochet into here and finish up there, and then you will join to the top of your standing front post double crochet just at the top there. Fasten off and secure your ends, and then we'll come back for round 20. I'll just leave this here for a moment so you can have a look. Round 20 has a lot going on here, so we've got to take it kind of slow. We need to first join between the front post double crochet and the first puff stitch of any corner. So there's the front post double crochet, and here's my first puff. So we've got to join in between them. Now you can join with a slip stitch and make a chain 2. That will count as your first double crochet. I will make a standing double crochet in the gap between those 2 stitches, just like that, just one. Now we have a little mini repeat here. It says 2 double crochet between the next 2 puff stitches 3 times. So let's do that while the rain is drumming on my rooftop and trying to drown me out. So 3 times 2 double crochet between the next 2 puffs. So that's once there, twice there, and one more over here. So although we only did 1 in the first one over here in front of the puff, here we've got 2, 2, and 2. Now that brings us to the middle puff stitch, the 4th one of the 7. We're going to put a front post double crochet around that one, just like that. Alright, and we're going to do what we just did here again. So we're going to put 2, 2, and 2 double crochet between the puffs, but the first one happens right immediately after that post stitch, so don't get confused there, don't skip over to the next space, start immediately. So the post stitch is flanked by 2 double crochet on either side of it. So that's 2 there, I need 2 more here and 2 more over here, so that's 3 sets of 2 like that. And then again, just like at the start, 1 double crochet between the final puff and that post stitch, just like that. And what we're going to put is an extended front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. So if you've not done an extended stitch before, it's very simple. It's just basically a double crochet with an extra step in it, but these are front post double crochet as well, so don't forget that. So yarn over, go down and around that front post double crochet, pull up your loop as normal for a front post double crochet, but instead of dropping off 2 loops the very first time, we're just going to drop 1. Then we yarn over and go 2 and 2. So there is an extra step in it where we just dropped off the first loop on its own before completing the double crochet as normal. So you'll need to remember that. Now we're going to start the repeat for the entire side. So let's go. We begin with the decrease, the double crochet 2 together decrease here. Start the first one, then start the second one, and then close it off together for the decrease. Then we put a half double crochet in front of the 2 puff stitches, 2 half double crochet between them, and 1 half double crochet in the gap after them, so that there are 4 here. Then we have 10 stitches across, 10 half double crochet from the previous round. We have to do 1 in each. Oops, and 10. Then 1 in the gap in front of the puffs, 2 between the puffs, 1 after the puffs, and then your decrease stitch, and then we hit the corner, the extended front post double crochet, pull through 1, pull through 2 twice, and then 1 double crochet again in the gap immediately after. You have to put that 1 in there, don't forget. Then 2, 3 times. Oops, once. This is the second set. This is the third set. A front post double crochet around the middle puff, the 4th one. Then again start immediately in the next gap with your 3 sets of 2. So that's the first one. Move over, that's the second one. Move over again, that's the third one. And then the 1 on its own just in front of that post stitch. And then your final extended front post double crochet. And that's a full side. Done very quickly the second time. So if you need to rewind, please do. Just got to make sure you don't miss anything. We have 3 post stitches. the 2 extended front post double crochets flanking the whole corner, and this front post, regular front post double crochet around the middle puff. 1 2 3, 1 2 3. It's the 4th one, you must put one there. We have only 1 double crochet in the first gap, 1 there, and in the last gap there, and then 2 2 and 2, and over here 2 2 and 2. These are important because they'll affect your stitch count. Then we decrease the 2 stitches, the 2 double crochet from there into 1. Then we do a half double in front of the puffs, 2 in between, 1 after, and then we immediately begin. So don't miss that. You immediately begin in your first half double below and make 10 half double crochet across, and then 1 more. The last one goes underneath here in the gap. Okay, so we've got 12. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Your 10 plus your 2 in each space on the other side, and then you just reverse it. You put 2 inside the puffs, 1 on the other side. You decrease the 2 double crochet, become 1, and then you do your extended front post double crochet, your solitary double crochet in there after the post stitch, 2 2 and 2, a front post, regular front post double. We don't want extra height here, just the regular front post double, 2 2 and 2, the final double crochet in the final gap after the last puff, and your final extended front post double crochet. I've spent a bit of time on it because it's, you know, it's complicated, there's a lot going on. So let's get that done. Let's come all the way back around, and we're being asked to fasten off with the needle join again here. And again, there is the video right here on the YouTube channel if you want to go and look for it. It's an extended tutorial, so it'll tell you quite a few things. You may as well wash it at least once, and hopefully that will help you. All right, then we'll come back and do round 21 with a new color for the pattern. Back soon. Round 21 has a note that says to be careful to work the back post half double crochet around each of the double crochet 2 togethers from round 20, because it's easy to mistakenly catch both components. So here's one of the double crochet 2 together, and we did 2 of those, 1 at each end. There's 1 here and there's 1 here. So what it's telling us not to do is to separate the 2 components of that decrease stitch. So when you come up from the back, not to separate them and go in there, but to go across both of them, okay, because they are 1 stitch. It was a decrease. All right, so we'll do that when we get to it. Now, we need to join in the first double crochet after the corner front post double crochet. That's it, that one there. So we're going to join here, and we're going to make a standing back post half double. So slip knot on the hook and a yarn over, hold on to it, come up beside that front post stitch and down around the very first double crochet, and make a back post half double crochet like that. And all we're going to do now is make a back post half double crochet all the way down to the other end. Very easy. So come up around the second double crochet of that side, and then just keep working. I'll just get to the double crochet 2 together, the decrease stitch, so I can show you what was meant by that comment, the note, even though I've already pointed it out, but I'll show you again. Now just be mindful here, there was 1 double crochet on its own in that gap, and we're still doing back post around the post stitches as well, so don't miss any of it. Now here we are, this is the decrease stitch, and we just have to be mindful to get across the top of the whole thing and not split it into 2, because that will add a stitch. So it will compress that whole stitch together like that. Okay. And again, just as you're working, stop and check underneath. Make sure you are separating all the stitches you need to separate. Now there were 2 half doubles there, so I have to separate them, unlike that double crochet 2 together, which is 1 stitch element on its own there. But here there were 2 stitches deliberately placed in there, and we have to get both of them. Alright, work your way down to the other end. I'll meet you down there just so I can show you how to go around and make the new corner. Right, I'll be back in a minute. Nice bit of contrast there. Okay, so I'm down the other end. Now what we've done here is we started with our standing front post, back post half double crochet. That was 1. Then we've had to do 35 more. That's a total of 36 across from where we started, the starting point. So make sure you've got 36. And that 36th one would have finished in the last double crochet of the side before you hit your next front post stitch that was made in the center of the corner here. And when we get to that point, you chain 2 and you skip the stitch, and that's the stitch we're skipping, that post stitch. We're going to skip that stitch, we're going to turn around and immediately start making back post half double crochet around every stitch down the line, a total of 36 of them. And just always be mindful not to split open that decrease stitch, which is right over here just past the post stitch. So if you can try and remember, right after that extended front post double crochet is the decrease, and the same just in front of over here again is the decrease. So your extended front post double crochet from the previous round are your markers. There's one of these on either side there, and that's the stitch you need to not split open. Okay, so just take your time getting down there. I'll just do it one more time. So I've just done the post stitch. Now I've got to get completely around that decrease stitch and not split it in two. Okay, I'll leave you with it. Get yourself all the way back around to the beginning, and you will finish up your last back post half double will go into that last double crochet of the corner before that post stitch. You will make a chain 2, and then you will join to your standing back post half double crochet. So make sure you put that chain 2 in, because that is our new corner. There it is right there. So super easy, just back post half double crochet and a chain 2 bridging over the top of that post stitch. We're not putting anything into that post stitch all the way around. Okay, don't forget to put the last chain 2 in. Join up, fasten off and secure your ends, and we'll come back for round 22. We have a note for round 22 telling us to remember to work an extra chain 1 after the closing chain 1 of the first puff stitch of every corner. So let's do that. Now we begin in a corner space, so any one of these chain 2s, find one, and we begin with a starting puff stitch. Now you can do it any number of ways. There's several ways described, a couple of ways described in the stitch description. You can join and make a chain 2, or you can join and elongate the loop. Let me see, I tend to like to start just with a loose piece of thread, which is what I'm going to do again. And I just elongate my loop, hold my loose thread in my other hand if I can get it, there we go. And I just start making my first puff. So yarn over, pull up a loop 3 times, yarn over, pull through all, and a closing chain. And I will work away this tail very well at the end. Okay, so I did my closing chain, and the note tells us to make an extra chain because it is the corner, so we need an extra chain. Now we need a second 7 loop puff in that corner space. Okay, and that's the first corner made with a very loose thread, but don't worry about that, I'll fix it. Okay, now we'll start the whole side, and it begins by skipping what should be the hidden stitch, but mine isn't really hidden, I can see it very clearly. And we're going to work back loop only. We're going to make 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Alright, so skip the first one, half double crochet, yarn over, back loop only. I've shown you those before, just stabbing down through the top of the stitch and picking up the loop. 2 of them, 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2. So skip the first one, and then 2 half doubles. Now we're going to make a single crochet in each of the next 31 stitches, and these will also be back loop only. So back loop only, single crochet, and we're making 31 of them. Alright, so that'll take you almost down to the other end. So let's get that done, and I'll come back and we'll go around the corner together. Count them out, 31. But the first 2 were half double crochet. You're going to have to remember that we are trying to even out our corners and our edges and give us a nice 90-degree angle, so a little bit of extra height here is necessary. Alright, back in a sec. When you've completed your 31 back loop only single crochet, you should have 2 stitches left. I don't know if you can see them clearly, but there they are. And we're going to put, just like at the beginning, a half double crochet back loop only into each one of those. So each side will have 31 single crochet plus 2 half double crochet at each end. Alright, and that brings you to the corner, and we make our puff stitch, our 7 loop puff stitch, 2 and 3, pull through, closing chain, and because it's the corner, the extra chain. Second puff stitch for the other side of the corner, 3, pull through, and just the closing chain a second time. And then you start again, skip 1, half double crochet in the next 2, if I can get through that loop, there we go, and 2, and then single crochet, back loop only for these stitches, so you get a nice little ridge of the work. So keep an eye on that, make sure your front loops are an unbroken line across the side. My colour's pretty dark here, but I can still see it. In real life I can see it. It's not so easy on the video, but I can actually, oops, there it is right there. I can see it. Okay, so that's an easy one. Let's get that one done. Remembering that when you get to the other end, you should have 2 stitches remaining in which to put your back loop only half double crochet, then your puff stitch, after the first puff an extra chain, closing chain and an extra chain, then a second puff, turn around, skip the first stitch, 2 half double crochet in the next 2, 31 single crochet down the line till you get to the last 2 stitches, and you put your 2 half double crochet in. Now when you get to the end, and I've said this before, if whatever you've done to begin, whether it's a loose loop or a chain or whatever you've done, don't join to that, join to your closing chain for neatness, and I am going to do the same when I get around, and then I'll secure my ends. Okay, and you will also fasten off and secure your ends. We are changing colour in the pattern now, and we'll come back. Oops, let me show you this bit. There we go. It's kind of hard to see because they are just single crochet, so mind your tension too, be wary. Okay, back for 23 in a minute. Round 23 is a round of just puff stitches, so, and they are 7 loop puffs again because the font is in green, and we are reminded to make the extra chain after the first puff of the corner, so the closing chain and the extra chain, so we've got some room in the corner. So you begin with a starting puff, and I will again use just a loose loop to make mine. So yarn over, pull up a loop 3 times, once, twice and 3 times, pull through, closing chain and an extra chain for our corner, and then another puff stitch in that same corner space. Oops, I split my yarn, do that again. We are so close to the end. I get excited when I get close to the end, then I start to make mistakes. Don't you do that. Okay, so the whole repeat, very easy, is to skip 1 stitch, which skip the puff stitch first, and then we're going to put a puff into the next stitch, which is that first half double crochet. All 7 loop puffs, 2 and 3. Oops, I went underneath. Don't go underneath, go into the stitch. It is a bit hard with the first half double crochet because the loops hang so far to the side. It's almost like working into a chain. See that? Okay, and that's it. Skip 1 stitch, puff stitch in the next, and closing chain, skip 1, puff stitch. So that's all you're going to do all the way around. The corners have a 2 puff stitches in them, separated by the extra chain, like we just did now. So you should, when you get to the other end, finish a puff in there, skip the puff stitch here, and do your corner, puff stitch, extra chain, puff stitch, turn around, skip the puff underneath, and start straight away in that first half double crochet, puff stitch, skip 1, puff stitch, skip 1, all the way down. You should end up with 18 puff stitches going down the line, so check your counts please, and then we'll come back. So I should show you that more clearly, like that. There we are. And we'll come back for the final round of the beautiful Tamara Square. Nice and easy, back soon. And our final round for the beautiful Tamara Square, round 24, we have a note. There are Nessner corners in this round. Now, if you've never come across that word, Nessner, that's unique to Vanessa Smith patterns, and it just is an indicator that she has created some uneven corner stitch work, that you just have to remember that. So let's get started. First we have to join in any corner space. You can make a knot and a chain 2. I will make a standing half double crochet, so your chain 2 will represent a half double crochet. Then a second half double crochet, just like that. Then we have a chain 2, and this is why it's called a nestner. Now this side we have 3 half double crochet. We started on with 2 on this side, but we're putting 3 on the other half of the corner. That's why that warning is there. You're going to have to remember to do that all the way around. 2 half double crochet on this side, chain 2, 3 half double crochet on the other side, and that's to get your stitch count right, and that makes the pattern compatible with all the other Hooked on Sunshine granny square patterns. They've all got the same final stitch count, so that if you want to use multiple of them together, you can. That's why that's happened there. Now our repeat begins like this: 2 half double crochet in the space between the next 2 puffs, 19 times. So you're going to do that all the way around, and that's all you're doing. 2 half double crochet in every space between the puffs to finish off your beautiful Tamara square. And just having to remember every time when you hit the corner, when you start the corner, you do 2 half double crochet, you do your chain 2, and then you put in 3 half double crochet. So that's all you really need to know about this round. It will just take a few minutes to get done. 2 half doubles, chain 2, 3 half doubles. It's in the stitch count as well, so you can see it there. There you go, nice and easy, nothing to it. Just remembering your stitch count, and that stitch count will allow you to use this granny square, this Tamara granny square, with any other Hooked on Sunshine granny square patterns. Okay, I'll pop this back up again in a second so you can have another final look at it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.